this is the idea that I have with everyone I work with. Everyone I work with has something in their heart that they want to create. And their job is to drive that idea down a straight road into a place called Yes Town. Now, along that road, they're going to be met with 3 roadblocks, 3 things that we refer to as checkpoints that are going to prevent them from moving forward. So the idea of when I work with a client, what I'm fundamentally doing is I'm imagining that everybody I'm working with is in a car. Everybody's in a car, like on page 28, and they're driving down a straight road to get to a place called Yes Town. Now, in Yes Town, their mind says yes. Yes to resources, yes to finances, yes to networks, yes to effort, yes to energy, yes to learning. So when they get to Yes Town, the answer is yes, and they get their result. So here's the analogy. Every client I ever work with is sitting in a car, and all they've got to do is drive straight down a road, and if they get to the end of the road, they'll have every result they ever want. That's the idea. Now, as they're driving down the road, they're going to be met with 3 issues that they have to deal with. So here's the scenario, and you can fill this in on page 28 as we go. The first issue, if you want to fill in on page 28, is instincts down the bottom of the page. Down the bottom of the page where you see the picture of the lizard, just write, next to the eye, just write instincts. So here's the scenario. You ready? I'm about to start driving my car. And just as I'm about to take off, here's what happens. 2 kids jump in the back seat, a 5-year-old kid and a 7-year-old kid. And their job is to stop the car. That's their sole task. They have 3 ways in which they can stop the car, but their job is to stop the car. These kids resemble your nervous system. And what your nervous system wants is for you to stay the way you've always been. It wants you to stay safe and stay the same so it can protect you. So these 2 little kids jump in the back seat right before you start your journey, and their job's to stop the car. So they're going to first try to use the realm of instincts to try to stop the car. So here we go. We start the drive. So down there is you wanting to be a highly successful coach. These 2 kids are in the back seat, and they're going to try and stop the car now. So you start driving down the road. And the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old, they begin their process. Their first attempt to stop the car is basically just insulting you. That's their process. So here's what they start to do. The 5-year-old says, you know that you're a loser and that nobody believes in you. The 7-year-old goes, you know you're unworthy, right? And that you're a phony and a imposter, right? The 5-year-old says, you're not lovable. You're just stupid. You're dumb. And you're definitely not smart enough to succeed. And they just keep doing this. They just keep insulting you as the driver. And what they're attempting to do is to get you to believe something that isn't true. And if you happen to believe it, you'll turn the car around and you'll drive back to where you came from. So they just insult you non-stop. But guess what? Most people, when this form of internal attack happens, they pull the car over to the side of the road, they turn the engine off, they turn around, and they start trying to negotiate with the kids. I am lovable. No, you're not lovable, but I do like myself. But I'm not an imposter. And they start this back and forth negotiation. Now, if you know anything about children, especially between the age of 5 and 7, if you try to negotiate with them, they will pull you down to their level and they'll beat you with experience, all right? So don't try it. Now, the problem is your car has stopped. It's stopped now. These kids are grinning from ear to ear because they stopped the car. That was their job. Now, a good coach comes over and says, hey, I noticed you stopped the car. I notice you're believing stuff that's limiting you in some way. So if you want to fill in underneath in the brackets, limiting beliefs. You are now believing things that are causing your car not to move. So the coach says, here is a coaching tool. Please use the tool. So you apply the coaching technique, and guess what? The 2 kids immediately stop talking. They just stop insulting you like that, almost like magic. They just stop all the insults. So you then turn around, you start your car and you start driving. 1 down, 2 to go. The kids have 2 more strategies to try and stop this car getting to Yes Town. So here's what happens. You start driving now and there's no insult. It's totally quiet inside the car. It's totally silent. You're feeling fantastic. The kids have stopped insulting you. This is great. So you're driving along and you look in the rearview mirror and the 5-year-old has tears streaming down their face. They are bawling their eyes out. They are crying, grieving unconsolably. And you look at a 7-year-old, the 7-year-old is white as a ghost. They are terrified, petrified. Now, in this realm, next to the 4 photos, the car, the holiday, and so on, we're now in the realm of imagination. If you want to fill that in, the realm of imagination. So this is where we start to form stories, social meaning to things. But this is where we generate emotion. We create stories that form feelings in our body. Now, these 2 kids are now using that strategy to stop the car. Now, here's the thing. You would have to not have a heart to not stop the car. If you looked in your back seat and you saw a 5-year-old bawling their eyes out and a 7-year-old terrified, of course you're going to stop the car. So you pull the car over and you get out and you go around to the 5-year-old, you open up the car door and you reach and you give the 5-year-old a big hug and you say, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay? Tell me what's going on. You're so upset. And they just cry and you hug them and you hug them. And you run around to the 7-year-old and you look terrified. What's wrong? And you hug them. So now you're hugging these 2 kids and you're consoling them as they're emotional. What you don't see though is underneath the chair, they're high-fiving each other. On the surface, they're all emotional, but underneath the surface, they are slapping high fives because they stopped the car. This is the realm of what we call trapped emotion. If you want to fill in the brackets there, trapped emotion. What does that mean? I'm sure you've had these experiences before. You enter into an experience with this much confidence, something happens, and you leave with that much confidence. Type a C in the chat box if you've ever experienced this. You enter into an experience with this much confidence, something happens and you have less confidence afterwards. And that less confidence stays there for years. You just got less confidence. That's because an emotion has been trapped in your body. It's a trapped emotion. In fact, type the letter F for fear. Have you ever wanted to do something in your life, wanted to go and take an action, but fear held you back? You just didn't do it because of fear. Just type an F, look in the chat box. Right? That is a trapped emotion. The emotion of fear got stuck in your body and you couldn't take action. The emotion of confidence got stuck in your body and you couldn't take action. So we know that things like shame, guilt, fear, judgment, all of these emotions, once they're trapped in our body, stop the car. They stop the car, and that's their job, is to stop the car. Now, a coach comes along and they come back and they say, look, I noticed you stopped your car again. You're trying to get to Yes Town, right? And you're like, yeah. Well, then what are you doing? Well, these kids are so upset. So the coach says, here's a coaching tool. And you apply the coaching tool and boom, immediately both kids enter a state of homeostasis. They are immediately at a state of inner peace. The emotions have gone completely and they've been replaced by a state of ease, a state of equilibrium, a state of equanimity. They're now balanced. The emotions aren't there. And now, because the emotions aren't there, you turn around and you start your car again. And now you start driving. The kids have got one last chance to stop this car, one last shot at the title. So here's what happens. You're driving along, and now the kids try their last strategy. It's so covert, it's almost overt. Here's what they do. The 5-year-old turns to the 7-year-old and says, hey, I think we should drive this car to Wet n Wild. You know, Wet n Wild has the Big Dipper. It's got the hurricane. It's got the tube rides. It's got the great water park themes. I think we should go to Wet n Wild. The 7-year-old says, Wet n Wild, that's a good idea. But I think we should go to Disneyland. You know, it's got the Frozen exhibit. It's got the roller coaster. It's got all the characters out of the movies I like. So I think we should go to Disneyland. The 5-year-old says, no, I think we should go to Wet n Wild. The 7-year-old goes, yeah, maybe we should go to Disneyland. And they start this back and forth discussion about where the car can go. We're now in the realm of intelligence. So the kids are discussing all the bullet points, all the logical reasons to go to Wet n Wild versus all the logical reasons to go to Disneyland. Logical reasons Wet n Wild, logical reasons Disneyland. This is the realm of what's referred to as conflicted values. We don't know where we want to have the car end up. We can't decide. You would have experienced conflicted values at a restaurant. Type an R for restaurant. If sometimes you go to restaurants and you can't work out what to eat, just type an R for restaurant. Would you admit it becomes quite annoying? You're like, and then after you've ordered your food, Halfway through eating it, you're still thinking about the other dish. And it robs you of your whole experience at a restaurant. It takes the joy out of the restaurant because you're constantly thinking about, should you have bought that other meal? But what it really looks like in your life might look like this. So I'm in this job that's unfulfilling. I know it's not my purpose in life. I know it's definitely not my calling, but I'm in it because it gives financial security to the family and I pay my mortgage. But I really want to be a coach. I study personal development all the time. I've been doing it for like 10 years. I dream of coaching. I dream of running retreats and workshops, and I love personal development, but I don't know if it's secure because I've never done it before. And I've got to, there's a bit of, well, actually, but the job, I know I'm unfulfilled in it, but it's so safe. It's so familiar to me, but I really just want to be a coach. And this complete conflicted values is actually the basis of what's called reactionary depression. NASA did research into the origins of depression and found out that over 95% of all depression is what's called reactionary depression. What does that mean? It means it's depression that you created because of a reaction to conflicting values. If you sit in an office job and constantly fantasize about a career that you're not in, the gap between those two realities causes unhappiness, and left unchecked, it snowballs into chronic depression. So conflicted values is the starting point of unbelievable unhappiness. In fact, there's a lot of research that shows that having multiple choices is the beginning of unhappiness for most people. So here's the thing I'll say to you, is if you have an ambition in life, if you have a dream of what you want to do, if you do not follow that through with action, it will become your worst nightmare. It will haunt you. In the chat box, capital N for nightmare. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you don't follow it, it will haunt you every day of your life. And listen carefully, you'll never be satisfied. You'll never be satisfied. You may have had this experience. You might have had a partner that you are deeply in love with, and then everyone you date afterwards never even comes close, right? And so all you ever do, you're in a relationship with somebody, but your whole brain still wants to be with that other person. That is conflicted values. And that leads to this unquenchable desire to be happy, but you can never get it. So if you trace people's depression, clinical depression, back to its origins, you'll find they were met with a choice point, right? And because they couldn't come up with a solution, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, they're still between two worlds. And those two worlds branch off into multiple personality disorders, schizophrenia, you name it. Because they're creating fantasies that don't match their reality. Drop a Y for yes if anything I'm saying is making any sense right now. So what does that mean? It means if you trace back to the origins, all the issues of a human being, we can see that they are either limiting beliefs, trying to believe things that aren't true, emotions stuck in the body, or values in conflict. If you clear all of those out, people will get to yes town and they'll be able to activate this prefrontal cortex, the front of their forehead. What mystics refer to as their third eye. Deepak Chopra said that when you awaken your third eye, the universe will fall at your feet and writhe in ecstasy as it conspires for your greatness. So the longest journey that you will ever have to take is sending energy from your heart to the front of your forehead. That's the gap that you need to transcend, because most people have it back to front. Most people have turned their heart into a servant of their mind. It was never meant to be that way. Your mind was always meant to be a servant of your heart. But most people don't know how to unlock their mind so that their heart can express itself through the mind. So, type a capital L for learning. Are you learning some stuff right now? Are you getting some knowledge out of this whole concept? All right. So what does that mean? It means that these kids are good at stopping the car. They've stopped your car thousands of times in your life. That's how good they are. They are geniuses at stopping the car. But basically it works like this. So we've got, trying to get to yes town, we've got the instincts, limiting beliefs. We've got the imagination, trapped emotions, and then we've got the intelligence, conflicted values. So the only three problems a person can have is beliefs that limit them, emotions that are trapped, and values that are in conflict. Once you clear those three things out, they'll hit yes town. But these also carry across to the triune brain complex, the triune brain complex. The triune brain complex was an idea hypothesized by Paul E. MacLean, a neuroscientist and a physician back in the 1960s, where he said that we have 3 different types of brains that all speak 3 different types of languages. And you would have heard of these brains before. He hypothesized that we've got the reptilian brain, our instinctual dinosaur brain. We've got the limbic brain, our emotional feeling brain. And we've got the neocortex, our rational thinking brain. Now, neocortex, in the chat box, M for Matrix. Have you seen the movie The Matrix? Have you seen the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves? In the movie The Matrix, Keanu Reeves is called Neo. Not because it's an anagram for the word one. He is called Neo because in the movie, Keanu Reeves is representing your neocortex. The whole movie was a documentary of psychology. The 2 brothers who wrote the film in interviews have explained that the whole movie is about somebody's journey from their heart up their brainstem and into their neocortex. And once you enter your neocortex, you can override your matrix, which is your physical body, override the whole thing and become Neo. Become the cephalon in the front of your forehead, which again, gurus refer to as your third eye. Scientists refer to as your prefrontal cortex, home of something called executive function, the 8 essential functions for you to create whatever you want in life. Things like self-awareness, task initiation, organization, prioritization, working memory, impulse control, flexibility, and emotional control. Those 8 functions, when working together, allow you to achieve any outcome you want, but you can only use those 8 functions from the front of your forehead. So the whole journey of a human being, the whole journey of coaching is getting people to move from their heart to their front of their forehead and put blood glucose, fuel in the front of their forehead and turn them into Neo without trying to blow your mind too much. That's kind of what's going on here. So what does that mean? It means, page 29, please. It means let's go to page 29 and let's look up some really fancy words. Let's look up some really big words that'll really impress your friends. When you leave the event today, if you want to just impress your friends, page 29 is going to be the page for you. It's got lots of big words in it. Your brain is made up of lots of cephalons, regions of the brain. And on page 29, I want to show why this is so important. Why do your clients all have to get to Yes Town? It's because of something known as the science of voluntary action. If you want to fill that in on the top of page 29, the science of voluntary action. So everybody you meet basically is journeying up their brainstem. If we have a look down the bottom here on page 29, we've got the hindbrain, the rhombencephalon, home of the myelencephalon, the medulla oblongata that regulates heart rate and so on. If we go up to the metencephalon and we look at the cerebellum here, I want to just point something out. It says here, involuntary coordination and control of outgoing muscle movements for equilibrium. Involuntary. What does that mean? It means that if you're operating from your hindbrain, your whole life is an involuntary reaction. Everything you do is involuntary. So you are just going round and round in a rat race that never changes. If you go up to the midbrain and you start functioning from your midbrain nuclei, here, once again, involuntary control of muscle tone for processing of incoming sensation and outgoing motor commands. Again, if you're operating from checkpoint 2, it's all involuntary. But if we go all the way to the top now, to the home of the telencephalon, the cerebrum, look at this. Motor area controls voluntary muscle movements. So why am I trying to point this out? It's because if you do not function from your third eye, from your telencephalon, from your prefrontal cortex, you cannot create voluntary muscle movement. Now, if you can't create voluntary muscle movement, good luck trying to get to the gym. That's a voluntary movement. Good luck trying to eat a salad. That's a voluntary movement. Eating chocolate cake, that's an involuntary movement. Watching 4 hours of Netflix, that's an involuntary movement. For you or your clients to change their life, they need blood glucose, fuel, energy in the front of their forehead. Because only when energy is here can you voluntarily choose the actions you take. But I got some good news. The good news is this. You notice how checkpoints 1 and 2, they're involuntary? Guess what you can do? You can do something with your mind where you literally reset it so that success becomes involuntary. No matter what happens, you become wealthier. No matter what happens, you involuntarily become happier. I know you know these people that no matter what happens to them, they always win. Type a capital W for win in the chat box if you know one of these people. They do that no matter what happens. They get wealthier, happier, healthier, their relationship improves. It's all involuntary. So the cool thing is once you get a client to Yes Town, they can then go back to each of the checkpoints and reset them so that they involuntarily succeed. So you can make success an involuntary reaction. How cool is that?